'Cause I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. 'Cause I'm happy 'cause I don't live in the US anymore. Fuck the United States. Oh, so as I announced a while ago, I have finally moved out of the collapsing USA and I now live in Dubai as my primary residence. What an amazing, wonderful feeling it is to not have to live in the USA anymore. God damn. I mean, I'm a happy guy to begin with. My whole lifestyle structures is based around masculine happiness. So yeah, I'm happy in the United States. I'm happy anywhere. But I'm really happy. I'm like extra happy to not be in the United States anymore. And as I explained before, it's not like I'll never be in the United States ever again. I will spend a few weeks there a year, which is fine. But I don't live there anymore. And United States, in my opinion, at least in my mental mindset, is no longer my problem. I have customers and clients and business still in the United States, but that's the next phase. The next phase is to, as I've discussed also before, get to the point where only 40% of my income is sourced from the collapsing trifecta, the United States, Canada, and Europe. So that's the next phase. And, I'm pretty far along on that already. I'm probably about maybe a third, maybe it's 25% does not come from the West. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. In this podcast, what I thought I might do, I've been in Dubai now for a while. I've lived here for a bit now. Not too long, but a while. And I want to kind of overview differences in my day-to-day life that I've noticed living in Dubai versus living in the United States. Little things, but there's a lot of little things. I've kind of thought about this last few days. And I'm not going to list these in any particular order, just kind of random off the top of my head type stuff. First off, to explain my current scenario, I have not actually purchased or rented my primary home here in Dubai. I'm in Dubai right now. I'm going to be in an Airbnb. It's an apartment. I'm going to be in an apartment by myself for about 4, 5, 6 weeks, about 5 weeks or so total. Alone. Pink Firefly is still back in the US. She's going to move shortly after I get back to the US in about 5 weeks or so. And that plan got effed up a lot because she has a dog. And so there are lots of restrictive laws about importing animals into the UAE. So she's run into problems with that. So she is actually not going to move to the UAE for quite a while. What she's probably going to do, it's kind of a mess. And this is sometimes what happens when you move out of the country, especially when you move out of the country and you already have what I call life infrastructure. So if you have a wife like I do, if you have a wife and kids, like some of you do, at least little kids, things like that it's a little complicated. If you're just a young guy or an older guy, but you're completely single, have no kids, or your kids are grown, like in my case, this is a lot easier. But I have a wife, so it involves a little extra layer of complication and complexity. So we found out that it's going to be several months, about 2 or 3 months longer than we thought, to actually get her dog into the UAE. And we found this out after we had already given notice on our current house in the United States, which I am renting by choice because I want to buy a house because I knew it was leaving. So March 31st, the rent, our lease expires. And so when we found out about this issue with her dog, her fucking dog. Anyway, not my problem, it's not my dog. But when we discovered this, I called up the landlord and said, hey, can we extend the lease for a month or two? And she said, actually, no. As soon as we put the house on the market, we wrapped up another renter within 5 hours, literally. We have a pretty nice house, which gives you an idea about, our COVID world. Everyone's bitching and moaning about how they're having trouble with COVID. People who are making money are still making plenty of money, even with COVID. So it's not as big of a change as you might think. But it gives you an example, because I have an expensive house in the US. The rent is around $4,000 a month. And she rented that thing within 5 hours. Now, it has a very nice view. It's in a prime location, things like that. But anyway, that caused some problems. So Pink Firefly, what I'll have to do in a few weeks is fly back to the US for about a week or 2 or 3. I haven't decided yet. Move Pink Firefly out of the house into an apartment in the Portland area, get her settled, then come back to Dubai. And then I'm going to come visit her a few times, especially on my trips to South America, which has finally opened up to international travel due to COVID, which is very nice. And she's basically going to have to wait it out for the stupid waiting period for her dog. We might find another scenario that might be less complicated, but as of this moment, that's the scenario here. So regardless, I'm going to be in Dubai by myself for the next, I don't know, 10 weeks, something like that, off and on. Don't really have that nailed down yet as of this recording, this podcast. So as of now, as of this recording right now, I'm in my Airbnb. I'm here alone. And some things that I have noticed, random little things, noticed being in Dubai for a while here. One is that I track my calories on my Fitbit every day. My objective is to burn 3,500 calories on my Fitbit. That means my Fitbit is reporting calories burned, 3,500 calories per day. And that's 3,500 calories per 24-hour period. That includes calories I burn while I sleep, which I really don't care about. But anyway, now Fitbits can be up to 28% plus or minus inaccurate on that calorie count. So my objective is to burn at least 3,000 calories. I added 500 as a buffer, which is about 28% or so of that. So if their Fitbit reports that I burned 3,500 calories, I've burned anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 calories, which is pretty damn good. And I have noticed every day I've been here so far, I'm not sure why this is. I have some theories that I'll explain in a second, but my calories burning has gone way up. I exercise the same. Matter of fact, I have not been able to lift weights because I'm still recovering. I'm not really recovering anymore, but due to my surgery I had a few weeks ago, I'm not allowed to lift weights until next week. Next week is when I finally get back to lifting weights again. I can't wait. So I'm not doing that, but in lieu of that, I'm doing lots of cardio and all my mobility stretching. So I still do that 5-6 days a week. There's a gym in the building here. I just go down there and hit the gym every morning, and 5-6 days a week, and I do that. And so my exercise routine has not changed, yet my calorie burning has gone up. The primary reason for this, I believe, is because I'm walking more. And so when you live in a more urban area, when you don't have a car, and as I reported on YouTube, I no longer own a car. I sold my car a few weeks ago. I will never own a car ever again. There's no point in my lifestyle. So when you don't own a car, you walk more. You walk to places. You even walk out to your Uber sometimes. There is a grocery store in this same building. It's one of the reasons I picked this Airbnb. And so it's not like I have to walk very far to get groceries, but I have found that I'm walking around more. I'm moving around more since I've been to Dubai. Now, some of that also is me getting settled. So what I had to do, and I mentioned this on Instagram, is that when I flew out here to move here, I flew out here with 8 big, giant, full Home Depot boxes of stuff I had to move here. The only stuff I left the United States was stuff that I want to keep there for visits when I'm there, and very large items that I wouldn't be able to ship or check in on a plane. And the reason I did that anyway for these 8 boxes is because it's actually cheaper to check bags on an airplane or check boxes than it is to ship a box when you're flying to the other side of the planet. So I checked as many bags as I possibly could. And when I come back to Dubai from my next visit to the USA, I'll probably do that again with 1 or 2 more boxes. Maybe bring some boxes here for Pink Firefly. I haven't really decided. But anyway, so I had in my Airbnb for a few days all these fucking boxes stacked up. And so I had to unwrap all those, go through everything, pull everything out that I would need the next 5 weeks, figure out what I would need the next 5 weeks, what I would not need and just need to have here in storage for long-term permanent use. And so as of right now, I'm looking at them right now. I have several big boxes stacked up in 2 of the corners of this Airbnb. It is a 1-bedroom apartment, but it's a big 1-bedroom apartment. So it has a separate kitchen, separate living room. It has 2 bathrooms and a bedroom. And so one of the reasons I got a larger apartment is because I wanted to have enough room to move around all these goddamn boxes. And so what I'll have to do when I go back to the US is to put these boxes back in storage for a few weeks while I get Pink Firefly settled. Then when I come back, hopefully get an apartment, a permanent apartment or a permanent house. Not really sure how that's going to work, again, because I would like to select a home here when she is here, but we may not have that option. I may have to do a thing, which is what she did with me with our current house in the United States, where she actually found the house. And I was in South America, I believe, at the time. And so she took her phone around with Skype and just showed me kind of a visual walkthrough of the house. And I approved it and said, go ahead and get it. And she found something good. So I may have to do that now with her. I may have just to walk through an apartment or whatever and show her, just have her say, yes, that's fine. And because I know her parameters, I know her requirements. But anyway, so I had to go through all that stuff, and that burned a little calories, but that hasn't been the case in a few days. And my calorie count is still up, unless I have somehow fucked up my Fitbit. So one weird thing about Fitbits, I wear my Fitbit to track calories, and I also wear it to track my sleep. And so one weird thing about Fitbits, and I don't know of a way to adjust this, I don't think there is it operates based on the 24-hour day. So in Dubai, and this is another change I've had to make, I used to go to bed at around 10:30 and wake up around 7:30. In Dubai, I've shifted this. I go to bed now at 1 a.m. and sleep in till 10 a.m. And I don't like that, but the reason I have to do that, at least for a while, is to be a little more compatible with the time zones in North America for the United States and Canada. So for meetings with clients and customers and things like that, if I just maintain my regular 10:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., that means I'd be asleep during the entire day, because Dubai, unfortunately, is 12 hours difference from Pacific time zone. So it's literally the opposite. So it's 3 p.m. in the Pacific time zone, it's 3 a.m. in Dubai. So I've shifted that. That way I don't go to sleep until 1 p.m. in the afternoon Pacific time, 4 p.m. EST, which is even more important because more Americans live on the East Coast than the Pacific Coast. And so that way I'm awake most of the day for people on the East Coast and at least half of the working day for people on the Pacific Coast. Because of that, when I check my sleep, it will say on one day in particular, it said I got no sleep because it didn't start my sleep until 1 a.m. So it's weird. I can't check. Normally what I do is I wake up and I immediately check how much sleep I got, but I can't do that now. I have to wait till the evening after midnight for it to register for the next day to show me how much sleep I got. I don't know if that's confusing, but that's just how this works when you go to sleep using a Fitbit after midnight, because after midnight, it's the next calendar date. It's kind of confusing. So I've had to kind of fuck with that a little bit. Maybe I should get an Aura ring or some other Fitbit technology that's better at tracking sleep. I don't know. I haven't really decided on that. I got plenty of time to figure that out. But I have definitely been burning more calories since living in Dubai. Kind of nice. Kind of a little extra benefit. Next thing I have noticed is that being in a sunny environment does help my energy level a little bit, I think. Now, this might be placebo effect. I really can't tell. It might be a few more weeks before I can really tell the difference. But right now, back in the USA, where I used to live in the Portland, Seattle area where Pink Firefly is, as of the recording this podcast, the Portland area is being hit with a massive ice storm. 4 or 5, 6 inches of snow, ice on the roads, ice on all the windows. Pink Firefly was taking pictures of it. And so I could be in that cloudy shit, which is one of the reasons I left the Pacific Northwest, or I could be here in sunny Dubai. And I think I have a little more energy longer in the day because I have this sun. I don't know. And again, it might just be my perception, but at least it feels that way. There is real scientific data behind, and I don't know the word, where you feel depressed if it's cloudy all day and you feel happier if it's sunny all day. That really is scientific and real. So maybe I'm feeling a little bit of that. Not really sure. One downside that I've noticed is that I sweat more when I exercise. So when I am working out in the morning, I'm definitely sweating a little more than I sweat in the US on the West Coast. When I have sex, I'm definitely sweating a little more. That's fun. Oh, great. So I don't know if my body will adjust to that over time. I'm hoping it will. My understanding is that it might. My body just hasn't adjusted and acclimated yet to the desert weather. It is not humid here, although my understanding is it can get humid here toward the summer months, but I don't plan on being here very often during the summer months here. So it's not humid. It's a dry heat here, very similar to Arizona. So it's not like I walk outside and I sweat like in places like Singapore or Malaysia. It's not like that at all. I can't even handle that. But I have noticed that I tend to sweat a little bit more when I engage in hard exercise. If I'm walking around, or even if I'm walking briskly outside and I'm really walking a lot, it's not like I sweat. I don't do that. I would in Singapore. You walk outside in Singapore and within 20 minutes, it's like you've taken a shower. It's disgusting. I don't know how they do it. Again, I think they acclimate to it. So that's interesting. I'm going to be curious to see how long it takes my body to acclimate to this kind of weather. Also, considering the fact that I'm not going to be here literally 12 months a year. I'm required to be here at least 6, 7, 8 months a year, which is fine. But I travel a lot. So it'll be interesting, especially in the next few months. I'm going back and forth to a lot of places, going to the US a few times, South America a few times, a few other possible places. Haven't really mapped that out yet because of these changing schedules. But anyway, that's another lifestyle difference that I have noticed. Another difference that I have noticed, a very positive one, is that I have realized that I am unaccustomed, after living in the Portland area for almost 50 years, I am unaccustomed to living in a place where really hot women are commonplace. So that's why I will get excited when I go to places like Miami or Los Angeles or Colombia, certain parts of Paraguay, where lots of really attractive women are, because I don't normally have that in the Portland area. Now, in the Portland area, women aren't ugly. But there's a decent number of really attractive women in the Portland area, but there aren't lots of attractive women. It's not like they're walking around all over the place. Well, here in Dubai, they are. And this has actually gotten better over the last 5 years. More and more very attractive women are moving to Dubai in droves. Certainly a difference from when I first came here 4 years ago, I believe. Definitely there's a difference. And so I just realized I'm not accustomed to this. Like, oh, she's hot. Oh, she's hot. Oh, wow, she's really hot. Oh my God, look at her. Oh, wow. It's just your brain is on overload. And the only time I experience this is when I travel to places where there are a lot of hot women, like the places I mentioned earlier, like Tokyo, Japan, places like that. And so for me, it's part of the experience when I go to these places and see more attractive women than I do in the Portland area. But now I live in Dubai. And so I'm wondering now if that over time, I'm going to become numb to that as well. Or not numb to it, but I'll just be accustomed to it. It won't be a weird thing. I have sex with very attractive women, so that's a part of my life that's already taken care of and has been for a long time. But I'm talking about just walking around in normal day-to-day life, particularly at the nicer hotels, the nicer resorts, the nicer bars, the nicer areas, of which there are many in Dubai, particularly those areas where they're just smoking hot babes, just walking around all day long, all night long. It's just a normal thing here. It's kind of nice. Another thing too, a big difference is that people are very, very polite in Dubai. This is one of the most polite countries in the world. And in the West Coast, people are reasonably polite. They are certainly much more polite than they are on the East Coast, where a lot of parts of the East Coast people are straight up assholes, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Some of that I like. On the West Coast, they tend to be nicer than on the East Coast, but not all people. There are still a lot of angry, frustrated people in the United States West Coast, namely because of the political environment of the United States, the collapsing nature of the United States. Americans are very angry right now. We're in an angry phase of the country, and it's just going to get worse. That's one of the many, 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 many reasons I left the United States. We just don't have that dynamic here in Dubai. People are very, very, very polite. People of all races and all ethnicities are very, very polite here. People are not angry here. So one of the biggest difference in Dubai versus the United States is in the United States, everyone is furious. Everyone's furious about politics, left, right, center. Everyone's just ridiculously furious. They have been for about 10, 15 years now. It's getting worse. It'll continue to get worse. In Dubai, no one is pissed off about politics. Nobody cares. Even people who, and I've encountered this a few times, Europeans who have opinions about American politics. They might have an opinion or two, but they're not angry about it. They really don't care. And if they have a different opinion than you, or I verbalize a different opinion than they have, they go, oh, okay. They don't give a shit. Whereas in America, if you say, I love Trump, or I fucking hate Trump, and you say that in front of a person with an opposite viewpoint, you're in for some shit. You're in for a real argument. You're in for some real anger, both in real life and on the internet. In Dubai, not like that at all. No one gives a rat fuck, including those few people who do have opinions about American politics. And by the way, as I mentioned in the past, there are no Americans here. I'm the only American in the entire city. Yes, this is an exaggeration, but I've literally not yet met another American, not even once, in all of my time in Dubai. I'm sure there are a few here, but as I've talked about many times in the past, Americans just don't travel as compared to other countries in the Western world. Europeans travel a lot, Australians travel a lot, Canadians travel a little. Americans just don't travel. So there are no Americans here. There's lots of Westerners here, a lot of white people here. Oh yeah. But they're all from Europe, Australia, Russia, various other places. They're not from the US. I've met one Canadian, one or two, I think. So it's kind of interesting that I'm the only American here. It kind of makes me unique that I'm actually an American. Matter of fact, there are some people from other countries here, and most people in Dubai are from other countries, 91% to be exact. Most people from other countries here are so unfamiliar with Americans that they assume I'm from the UK, or let's see, what else do I receive? UK, or usually it's UK. Pretty hard to mistake my very thick American accent with a British one. But these are people from like Pakistan and stuff like that who just don't have a lot of experience with identifying accents, I guess. The next change that is actually hasn't happened yet, but is forthcoming very soon, is that I have to figure out how to get certain logistics done. For example, I still am using my American cell phone using an international plan that is kind of expensive. And so I have to make a decision really quick here in the next few days, because I've been putting this off, on how I'm going to handle that. Am I going to have two separate phones, which sounds like a big hassle to me? Am I going to get one of those phones that has dual SIM cards, which maybe. Am I just going to revamp my American phone or just keep my American phone and pay those extra fees? Not ideal, because certain things about the internet here on American phones is a little tricky. So as I've mentioned in the past, Dubai has better infrastructure than most of the United States. I have faster internet here in my Airbnb than I ever did in my upper class home, paying top of the line internet there using Comcast. So the infrastructure here is fantastic. The problem is my phone is an American phone. So the internet is reasonably fast on my phone, but things like voice to text doesn't work very well. So even if I speak very slowly and clearly, it'll get a few words wrong. I have a strong feeling that if I get a Dubai phone on a Dubai phone plan, I won't have that problem. And I'll test that before I buy the phone to confirm that. So little gotchas would be a problem if I kept my American phone. So I'm going to figure that out. Another thing I have to figure out pretty quick here, and a lot of people I've met here are giving me some good ideas, is to figure out all the delivery services they have here. Dubai is a delivery service culture. So people really don't go grocery shopping here. Now that's an exaggeration. People with bigger families, there are some people who do, but most normal, I should say, quote unquote, normal Westerners here don't really go grocery shopping. They get everything delivered. Matter of fact, I've had several scenarios where I'll say like, so where do you go for groceries? And the people here will look at me funny, like, go for groceries? Why would you want to go get groceries? That's how they are here. Everything's delivered. So there's several delivery services here. I haven't figured out exactly what does what. I have a pretty good idea, but I haven't set up those accounts yet. I have to do that again in the next few days. I'm kind of nervous to do that because I'm still on my diet. I'm on my hardcore diet now. And so I've been losing a lot of weight since I've came here, which is kind of nice. But I'm just eating stuff like tuna and turkey and a little bit of cheese and almonds. And I just nibble in my kitchen. I don't really have full meals. I don't want to open up the floodgates where I can just order any food I want whenever I want. That's dangerous. I got to limit that stuff to my cheat days. But I'm going to figure that out pretty damn quick. The good news is that I'll have all of these logistics figured out by the time Pink Firefly comes out here. So instead of her and I both stumbling through this stuff together, I can get her set up very quickly and easily, and I'll have all that good to go. That's the good news. I have received questions from some of you on the time zone difference. Hey, Caleb, has that been inconvenient for you? Other than the fact that I have to stay up till 1 a.m. and sleep until 10 a.m. or so, which I'm getting used to now. I think I'm getting used to it now. I just wear one of those in this Airbnb, as usual, like most hotel rooms, Airbnb rooms, apartments, the goddamn curtains do not really block out the light worth of shit. So I wear one of those stupid, fuzzy things over my eyes at night to make sure that the light doesn't wake me up. So I just do that and it's fine. But other than that, no. So far, I've not a problem coordinating with my staff in the U.S., clients, customers in the U.S., family members in the U.S., primarily because, as I said, I'm available during most of the workday for these people. Now, what's interesting is today, literally today, a few hours before I started recording this podcast, I called up the Ginger Ninja, my business manager, and I forgot that I was in Dubai. And so she answers the phone and her voice sounds really quiet. She goes like, hello? I'm like, hey, how's it going? You got a quick second? And she's like, yeah, sure. So I asked her some questions and basically she says, well, sorry, it's 2 a.m. here. I was asleep. I'm like, oh. I said, dude, you don't have to answer your phone if you're asleep. I forgot. I'm in Dubai. It's fine. She goes, no, I just got home a half an hour ago with some friends. We're out late and I just been in bed for half an hour. I'm like, all right, cool. So that's the only snafu I've had, if you won't call that a snafu. It's the only thing I've had. And I'm sure I'm going to do that a few more times where I'm going to forget that I'm in Dubai and I can just call people. It's kind of funny. What I'm doing with Pink Firefly, about us getting lonely or her getting lonely and us missing each other and all that good stuff, is that I call Pink Firefly every day. It used to be when I take a long trip, it's every other day I would contact her. For now, it's because it's such a long time I'm going to be without her. We've never been apart this long. Literally, we've never been apart more than, I think, let's see, 3 weeks, I want to say. I think that's about right. We'll be gone. And this time I'm going to be gone from her just under 5 weeks. And so I made the commitment to her that I'll call her every day, at least for the first week or two, until she gets to the point where she's comfortable. I think she'll get to the point where she'll say, okay, you don't need to call me every day. But maybe not. She's an extrovert. She likes to talk. So she may like this, me calling her every day. But I call her every day in the evening my time, around 8 p.m. my time, which is 8 a.m. her time, around when she wakes up. And so that's worked out fine so far. I've offered to do things like Skype with her, video Skype, video chat. She's like, no, phone's fine. So that's cool. So far, that's been okay. She's not physically here, but we're together in spirit. And if you were wondering, no, she does not like being apart from me that long. This is hard for her. This is difficult for her. So that's why I'm calling her every day, being a good husband, all that good shit. Now, that obviously leads into the next topic about me and my FBs in Dubai. This podcast is getting a little long, so maybe I will do a separate podcast on that or a separate video on that and talk more about that some other time, because it looks like we're running almost a half an hour on this podcast. That's a whole topic in and of itself. Plus, I have to be a little careful discussing that because of the nature of the United Arab Emirates, and I want to be a good UAE citizen. A good, appropriate resident of the United Arab Emirates. As I've mentioned, I am not a citizen of the United Arab Emirates. I am a resident of the United Arab Emirates. They really don't give passports here, with very rare exceptions, rare and usual exceptions, but they love giving out residency here. So almost the opposite of a lot of other countries. So what other little differences here that I can give you before I leave? Oh, things like they have this European style where, I don't know why these countries do this, where in the bathroom you don't have normal plugs. You have these little tiny bullshit baby plugs that are only for like weak little electric razors, and that's it. So if you want to plug in like a hair dryer or plug in a piece of equipment in your bathroom, you can't. It's so stupid. I think it's a European style that Dubai has copied. Why the fuck the Europeans do this? I have no fucking clue. It's another scenario too where in my Airbnb, and this is the first place I've stayed that had this feature. They have this other feature that I think a lot of European countries do also, probably to save electricity or energy, is that you have to press a button to turn on your water heater. So if that button is off and you want to take a warm shower, you got to turn it on and wait an hour to heat up your fucking water, and then you take a shower. I just leave mine on because it's an Airbnb. I'm not paying electricity. So, and the apartments that I looked at in terms of places I'm going to live don't have that feature. It's normal, Americanized. It's just always on, and you don't have to worry about it, things like that. It reminds me of the European style of plugs in the wall where there are switches, on-off switches next to every plug in the wall. Why would you want to turn off a switch if nothing is plugged into it on the wall? What the fuck is that for? It's so weird for me as an American to see this stuff. But again, these are the little things you have to get used to when you move to another country. And like I said, where I end up living, I doubt it's going to have those features. And if they do, I will fix it. If you're wondering, I'm going to rent here. I'm not going to buy property here. Although I know that this is a really good time to buy Dubai real estate, because real estate in Dubai is down right now, and Dubai will definitely come back, because it's, other than these problems that it's had lately, mostly because of prices of oil and COVID and things like this, Dubai will turn around because oil is a very small part of Dubai's economy here. Most of it is trade, banking, tourism, and things like that. And all of that's going to do very, very well over the next 20 years, largely because of how Dubai is managed, also because of China and their Belt and Road, various other things. That's one of the reasons I chose Dubai as kind of my hub, my primary residence. So I may do more podcasts in the future on this. It's still a new experience for me. I've only been here a few weeks, but as more experiences occur in my life, I will let you guys know. I'm just happy to be out of the United States. I'm happy to finally be moved out. As you guys know, if you've been following my content for a long time, this is something I've been talking about for a very, 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 very long time. So it feels so good to finally get that done and just get that crossed off my list. There's a bunch of new business opportunities and investment opportunities that I have access to now that I don't live in the United States. I'll talk about that further in future videos and or podcasts. So that's it. I will see you guys very soon. Have fun. Bye.